You're okay. I get. No, guys, you just made me spill my peanut butter cups. All right. Well.
Yeah, if it's a huge.
Oh my God! I did it again. I'm God damn it.
Check. Can you hear me?
I think that's better. Yeah.
Really relaxed arms here.
Yeah, I mean that's what stands out to me the most right away is like this is the pinnacle of effortless rowing. When you think about that, like
I mean, especially in that top quarter, like coming out of the catch, right? Like you don't see a big load pick up in their arms and lats.
Right.
They're just nothing happens in their bodies as they pick that boat up.
Right, they're making it
definitely
look
picking
easy.
it up.
I mean, clearly they're moving the boat. It's not like they're just coasting, but they're making it look easy.
Yeah, other two seats a little Yankee around the release.
I was gonna say too, because I was about to talk about it, like looking at all their white hats. You could just draw. You could take a yardstick and run it on the tops of everyone's head, and it's just super horizontal. There's no one dipping or diving. Again, two feet maybe a little bit, but I love watching those hats. Just that straight line compared here to like the horizon or that water line against the shore. It's really nice.
There's no, and it's, I think that's also a function of that body swing that they have. It's not exaggerated. They're not, super crazy into the catch, not super crazy back towards the bow, but they're getting just forward of the hips, swinging just back through.
Well, it's a chicken or egg thing, right? Do they look relaxed because they're not doing weird stuff and throwing the boat around, or is the boat not getting thrown around because they're so relaxed?
Yeah, that's one of those things, especially for rowers that aren't as experienced, obviously, as this Olympic crew. It's hard. You get into you can be in a vicious cycle where once things maybe start to wobble a little bit, maybe you started the piece nice and relaxed, and then you feel a little wobble, people start to freak out, you lose it, and then you start rowing worse and worse. That's a skill in itself, is sort of breaking out of that vicious cycle of when one little thing starts to go wrong, you can't let it start to tarnish all the other parts of the rowing stroke.
Well, I think that's, later, when we watch that Australian men's four, there's a really good section where their boat is bumping around, but they're staying calm in the bodies and they're just rolling with it. That's like, if the boat's bumpy, the conditions are rough, and you just decide to wallow in it and let it be bad, it's going to be bad. But at the same time, you can row a bumpy boat pretty well if you just relax the body, roll with the punches. But it's when you're overly tight, really tight in the arms, tight in the shoulders, and then you hit a bump out, with your blade, and that's going to go all the way through your body and make the row even worse. But if you're long and loose, you can let those punches roll through, and will keep the boat relatively on keel.
Yeah, I'd like to sometimes think about the arms and shoulders almost like shock absorbers. You don't want to be loose like a wet noodle, but you can't be rigid like your limbs are steel beams. You're kind of just absorbing that impact a little bit, so it doesn't course through the whole boat if you scrape the water a little bit when things get rough.
Right, you got to be reactive. It's it's like it's not a tense, it's not a flex, but it's on in the sense that you're reacting to what's going on.
Exactly. Just let it roll through.
All right. It looks like they've started to do a little bit more speed work here instead of that lower press stuff in the beginning of the video.
Here I'm starting to see, unlike those that double we were watching, I'm starting to see when they bring the rate up, there's a little bit around the edges that you see starting to break down.
Yeah, and I definitely
it's coming back.
It's very very few boats are as polished as that double, but I also think that's kind of a function of being in the 8, right? Like when you're really trying to pick up the 8 is going to be a lot more explosive up there through the pin, whereas if you're kicking it that hard in the double, you're going to send that boat back real quick. Yeah, but you've got more momentum, more mass on your side here, so you can afford to be a little angstier at the top and still get some pretty good speed.
Oh man, I really like that quarter angle that we saw. You could see each pair partners, like the bow seat and the stroke seat were off, but then in the middle, each pair looked exactly the same. They scoot in, scoot back out. You kind of see it here too.
For sure. And they're getting squared just in time for the, like, it's not, you know, I wouldn't even call this as a flip catch. They're moving quick, but right as they come through that 7/8, they're hitting that square and then dropping it right for the water. Like they, you know, the catch can and, you know, should be quick, but we don't want to flip at the last second because you're going to miss it. But they're flipping just in time so that they can drop it in together.
That's, I think, why I like this video, because I would say the more skilled of a rower you are, the later you can get away with squaring before the catch, which is why when you watch a lot of elite rowing, it's like, hey, isn't that a flip catch? And it's like, well, not, you know, quite. Maybe, but probably they're still having pretty good catches if they're rowing at the global level. But I like this because you can see it's a nice model, I think, for those of us that aren't elite rowers, of how do you square up at the end of the recovery, closer to the catch, but still be pretty clear and decisive with its own movement. Part of the catch.
If we were to slow down this video, and maybe Ethan can do that in post processing, you would see they do have that little quarter second at the square. I mean, this is a great shot of 7C here. Just ready, drop, ready, drop. She's not, you know, catching as she squares up. She is getting squared, then going for the water. It's quick and it's a small amount of time, but she's prepping herself to get that good catch. She's not just throwing her blade at the water.
Yep. Yeah, that's all that practice. They've done it 1,000 times.
Ooh, they just
well,
missed that log.
More than that. Yeah. But they're able to cut the margins really close because they've had all that practice. Yeah. They're doing as little as they can get away with. Starting to pick it up here.
This is a cool shot. Very nice.
Oh, those mountains in the background, yeah. The coach is like on the race course right now. Oh.
Man, look at that sun glitter.
Yeah. All those giant pixels of sun.
It looks like a like a news channel video from the 80s.
Yeah. Yep. But I mean, even in the silhouette here, when you can't really see any defined detail, it's clear that the fundamentals are just rock solid.
Yeah, it's kind of nice actually seeing from this angle where really all you can just see is like the basic outline of all the body parts moving, and just it still looks so nice and still and horizontal and very clean.
Yeah, this kind of more of a macro look, like you can't see all the little things with the lighting, but you can see, and again, you know, their bodies, they've got that little bit of C curve, but they're all doing the same thing, and they're moving, like, that's the big thing, is they're all moving the same way.
Yeah, you know what I'd like to see is that silhouette, like to see that silhouette shot where we just kind of clip out each, you know, port rower and overlay them and see how it looks, and overlay all the starboard rower.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it'll look pretty dang close to the same. And even here at these like higher rates where they're clipping along, they're still getting ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, that bottom edge of these blades sinks right into the water. It's real nice and clean here at this higher rating.
When you watch the hands, you can tell that the catch is not part of the drive either. It's not happening. The roll up's not part of the catch, and the catch is not part of the drive. You can watch their hands come up and then they go.
Yeah, this video is about to end here, but it's the same kind of what we were seeing before, like at the start. Like you just don't see, when you watch the arms and hands, you almost don't see the catch, right? Like it's just happening. You're not seeing this crazy shift in what their bodies are doing. They're just coming up, going down. But also just the relaxation, right? We saw the boat was, you know, at times a little bumpy, but they were just hanging with it. but also just watching their arms going in and out of the catch. There's not that grab. There's not that big tension. I feel like a lot of our rowers, are tense and think about the catch as this big aggressive thing that's about to happen. The reality is you want to be long and relaxed. Long and relaxed. You don't want to waste that energy. If you go up to the catch and you're grabbing and you're ready for it like that, you're wasting energy in the long run that you're going to wish that you had later. Whereas if you do what they're doing and just hanging off the handle, picking it up with the legs, you're going to feel a lot better in that third 500.
Yeah, I feel like, to me, watching their rowing, no part of their stroke really stood out as being like, that was a huge moment where that happens. And that's pretty impressive to watch, and important too, because when you think about a boat moving, you don't really want to be surging a lot. Like, there's going to be that surge, right? We're not just cruising along at 12 miles an hour. It is going to be fast and slow. Yeah, there's accelerating, there's decelerating, but the closer you can be to just a constant velocity, the smoother your rowing stroke can be, where there's never a jerk or a huge big movement. The faster you're probably going to move in your boat.
Well, and I mean, the big part is that's just easier on the body, and you're not wasting energy like Alec was talking about. But also, if you want to be pedantic, right, it costs more to go a little faster than it gains you back to go a little slower, because velocity in a fluid, or drag in a fluid rather, is a cube function of velocity. The wattage has to cube to get each next increment of speed. So you wanna keep it as narrow as you can.
Do you want to watch the one with the start?
Yeah, so what I want to do is I want you guys to cue up the start, watch the first 10 strokes just a couple of times, go back and forth 10 seconds, watch the start, and I want you to pick out which lanes you think are going to win. I want you to just watch the first 10 strokes.
Okay. Alrighty. So we are looking at a Masters 8 race. What is the event, Matt? Do you know?
It's the mixed, I want to say F8.
Fate for short.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Just a quick shot of the dock. Very crucial.
All right, let's pause it. 3, 2, 1. So, do you guys have your pick, or do you want to go back and watch the start again?
Blue shirts, I think.
I was going to say this blue boat on the right of the screen here. Are we
wrong?
Are we correct, Matt?
We did. No, yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So the other ones that I thought looked really good off the start was lane 5, which is the red and white.
Red and white, yeah.
On the left here, yeah.
The left of the screen, but not cut off. So both of those boats off the start, they were able to get it moving. They get to the next stroke. It looked quick and light, and they were just getting the strokes in.
Yeah, it was just pop, 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 pop. Like, they weren't,
exactly.
Obviously they're working hard, but you could see, like, I think this is like TRC in between those two boats now. They were just really ripping on it, but they weren't picking it up. Like, that's you're not going to win a start. Yeah, you're not going to win a start by trying to power through it. You've got to learn that balance between rate and power. And you have to understand that, you might have to back off the power a little bit to really get that rate up and get those strokes.
And especially in the first couple strokes, the worst thing you can do is rip through the water.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You have a ton of blade slippage. You don't get any traction, and you can't lever the boat. You're not going to be able to pick it up. So if you're not kind of in tune with being, if you don't understand how to go from stationary to speed, that's its own skill that only comes into play for like 4 strokes in a race, but it is really important.
Well, and not to mention blade slippage, but even more than that, maybe throwing the boat off. If you get your oar knifed a little, or it digs deeper than you think because you're just really hauling on it, then everybody's gonna have a bad stroke.
The spirit of Austin.
Crucial. Did a good shot of the feet.
Sprint of Austin.
Ankle.
Very important. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever rode with me, I have people do this demonstration a lot when we talk about the starts, and have everyone sit at the catch, ready to go, blades feathered, and then just take a big old air stroke, and you'll realize when you're not connected or you don't have the ability to connect, you're going to kick your boat backwards, and that's what a lot of people end up doing at the start of their race. Is they're just trying to put more power to the water than it's ready to take. Your boat's not moving fast enough. You're trying to pick up 1,800 pounds of dead weight. It's not gonna happen by just hosting.
Yep.
You gotta let it get up to speed. What type of boat is this? Is it
I
a
was
Wintec?
just thinking that it's black, right?
I think it's
Is it a
I think it's
Resolute?
no, I think it's one of those King Wintec Cobra things with the bow mount carbon riggers.
Did it have bow mounted?
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. But I'm also a silly
I'm gonna let
goose.
the people at home here. We're gonna take another look. I just rewinded.
No.
It does look like it has bow mounted. You're right. This
Yeah,
must be that Wintec.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
those Wintec King Cobra something boat.
One big takeaway from that video for me that I always tend to think of as important, especially over 1,000 meters. The shorter the race piece, the more important the start becomes. In 1,000 meters, it's 3.5 minute race, 4 minute race, whatever it is, 3 minutes. You don't have much time to come back from like a length lead. If you're really good at the start, you can get a length right away. And then the other boats around you just can't eat that back in 2.5 minutes.
And what you'll see happen a lot is maybe they can spend a lot of energy to try to eat that back over the next 2 minutes, but then the boat that had a better start has had some time to relax and settle into a strong rhythm, and then they can kick it back on at the end. And if you're spending the whole middle of your race tearing yourself apart to get back on that boat that took 12 seats on you in the first 250, you're not gonna have a good time in that last 100 meters when they've got the extra energy to push back, whereas you've just been working so hard to make up that delta.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what I think is specific to masters racing with that 1,000 meter distance. It's like it's harder in my mind to do a calmer first quarter strategy. Yeah. I think you can do that in 2K. Alec, I don't think agrees.
Yeah, we've got different. I'm a go fast all the time type of guy, so I like a fast start for my 5Ks
for sure,
let alone my 2Ks and my 1Ks.
I've always been a building the pacing kind of guy, both in my racing, and I know that's what Liza and I have the boys doing is a calmer first 500 relative to our competitors. But when you're talking 1,000 meters,
there's no time.
You can't do that.
Like you're talking, for really fast boats, you're talking about 3 minutes and change. You can't afford to in 90 seconds, I'm going to kick it up. It's in the last 300 meters of your race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the very fun event, the Dash for Cash, like the 500 meters. They do that at like Canadian Henley. Maybe we should watch one of those because that's exciting because there's very little, like you never open a gap. It's like down to the wire the whole time.
Oh yeah, I've had crews that I've been to races with crews where there's like a 500 meter dash at the end, and the way that I've always coached those is like, this is a 250 meter race, and then see what happens. Like how fast can you go for 250 meters, and then figure it out. But that's but with short distance, if you're not in it at that point, you're not going to be in it. Like there's no chance. So you've got to treat it like, oh my God, my dog is assaulting everything right now. You've got to treat it like these next 20 strokes are all you got, because if you're not getting it done there, you're not having some epic sprint in the last 5 strokes of that race, right? That's not going to happen. You've got to be in it. Because if you get dropped on a short piece, see you later. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Take care.